In this video, Steve and I get ready to put an AC compressor in my 2012 Expedition. Kind of blew apart on us. So doing a quick video of what's involved with this. This isn't something a homeowner can really do or you can really do in your backyard. This video is kind of to help some shops out there. Steve's a licensed AC mechanic. So we'll show you everything involved with one of these trucks. First thing you're gonna wanna do is remove the negative battery cable off of the battery. Gonna remove the middle of the ductwork for the air box. This is an 8mm. Okay, so right now I have a breaker bar on the belt tensioner, so I'm gonna push down on that and take the serpentine belt off the top of the alternator pulley to free it up.
All right, so the clutch is what came apart on Tony's compressor here. So I took the belt off, and we're just going to stick the belt up, feed it up through here to just get it out of the way. I'm just going to let it hold there, and I'm trying to look at the lines on the top. There's 2 lines on the top of the compressor, and I'm trying to see how we're going to find a way to get a hold of these things for the lines. So there's one of the tubes right there, and it's got a plastic cap on it that will pry off, that's holding the harness in place. And there's the electrical connector right here. You can get it from the other side to unplug it, and then we'll have to get the other side. So, all right, so we're gonna, on our truck here, the Freon just completely pissed out of this thing. So make sure if you're doing this job, you gotta dispose of the Freon properly, you gotta evacuate it and take care of the environment. So this one is completely empty now, so we're gonna unbolt the compressor and start going after it. All right, so we got the crankshaft sensor here, and I just pushed the clip on it. We get that off.
Okay.
Out of the way, because the compressor has to come out around it, of course.
Yeah.
So let's stuff that up out of the way. And I got 3 10mm here, 1, 2, 3, and I got my electrical connector right here for the compressor, and we're gonna try and unplug that.
So you got that clip off, and here's what the end of it looks like.
And here's a thing that goes on the stud
to
hold the harness in place, and it's just a squeeze tab. You can show this right here. You gotta squeeze this in.
Yep.
Yeah, squeeze this tongue down, and
Okay.
we got a screwdriver up behind it to pry it off.
So is that the one that was on the compressor, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that other one we just took
This
off?
other one came off of the, I believe it's the crank sensor. And
Oh,
it's
okay,
right
yep.
up, it's right up over here.
Sure.
But it wraps around the compressor, so you don't have enough room to get it out.
So that other one was the first one we took off. This
Yeah.
is the one we were just taking off right now.
Yep, and we're gonna tuck both of these up out of the way. Tuck it up on the axle. All right, so we're gonna start cracking the lines loose for the AC lines going to the compressor.
So there's another clip up top Steve is
It
taking
sits
off.
on the bolt for the stud for the AC line, and this is the one for the crankshaft sensor. And we can pull this line up over here for right now. We'll set it up out of the way, and it's got the same plastic cap that we had on the other one that just sits on the stud of the bolt for the compressor. And we got 2 lines here, and they both appear to be 13s. I'm gonna start cracking those loose now. That's one differential in there. When you see the other one, we can crack loose.
Okay, so what's the size is that, Steve?
A 1/2 inch felt a little snugger than the 13 for some reason.
All right, so we got a 1/2 inch wrench on the bolts right there, and like we said, the system's discharged, so you're gonna want to have that done properly before you crack these loose, because Freon will come out of there. So we're gonna disconnect this line right now. There's what, 2 bolts on it?
Yeah, it's just 2 13mm, but the 1/2 inch wrench fits tighter.
Okay.
And 1 per line. Okay, so we got the 2 nuts off the 2 lines. This is the high side line here, and I'm gonna pull it up around the compressor and just tuck it up out of my face here. And then I got the low side line, which is right here. And we're gonna get that enough off the flange. Okay, and then we'll, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm trying to hold the light and not drop it. All right, try and get this line up out of my grill as well. Okay. All right, so now we just got the 3 10 millimeters to take off for the compressor. And then it looks like it's gonna feed out the front here. So these are the three bolts that we have right here. You got 1, 2, and 3, and they're 10 millimeters. I'm gonna go up there with a swivel socket and take those off. And I got a quarter drive swivel. I'll crack them loose with something bigger, and then we'll use the smaller one because it's more accessible. These 10s here, I'm gonna crack them loose. And if I can get them all the way out with the 3/8 drive setup, I'm gonna use it. Now they may not come all the way out. Some of them may hit the frame. This one may hit the frame. I don't know if it's gonna come all the way out. We might have to leave it in the compressor. We'll see if it's gonna come out. This one here. Yeah, they're 10 miles long. I'm getting the zip gun. I'll get a quarter drive to get this one out because this one is running me up against the wall right here.
Yep.
No. Might be getting the hand loose. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's tight enough. Survey says. Oh. All right, it's stuck in the compressor.
Yeah, you can see it moving around.
So I ain't worrying about it. It's too long. It's gonna hit the frame. We'll get it when you get it out. I'm gonna get the zip gun for these 2 right here.
Hey.
So we got the thing loose and we're feeding it out. Okay. All right. That's it. So we're draining the oil out of this compressor because we're not sure if it's the PAG oil or not. Some manufacturers, when they're shipping it, tell you it's got the PAG oil in it. This particular one does not. So we're gonna let this sit for a few minutes and drain all the oil out of it. And they gave us a 6-ounce bottle, 8-ounce bottle of the PAG oil. So we're gonna put 5 in the compressor and we'll throw another 1 ounce in the system up top. You don't want to use too much oil. It can lower the cooling capacity of your system. So the compressor takes 5 right off the bat and we'll throw an extra ounce in as we go. Now when you have a purge and Freon, it drags the oil out with it. So we could do 1, maybe 2 ounces of oil on the top side when we disconnect one of the lines, but we're probably only gonna get 5 into this compressor. So we're gonna give this about 5 minutes to drain out. We'll fill it with the new oil and then we'll start the reinstall. So we got the shipping oil that came out of it, and I just not comfortable using it. Like I said, some manufacturers say that they're using PAG oil in there, shipping it with PAG oil. Other manufacturers just ship it with some type of inexpensive oil just for the components don't seize up. So if it sits on the shelf for 2 years. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna, on the suction side of the compressor, we're gonna put 5 ounces of oil in this. Now this is 8 ounces right here. So we figure we're gonna leave about the bottom of this in here, about a finger thickness in here, and that should be close. And when you're getting this in, as you're filling it, you're filling on the suction side. If you turn this compressor, you'll suck more oil in it. So we're trying to get the oil in here so that we know the compressor's full. And now, this is clear PAG oil. The PAG oil that I normally use, this came with this, so we're gonna use it. The PAG oil that I normally use has green dye in it. So we're filling through the suction side where it says S on the compressor. And we're gonna fill this till it gets close to the top. And then we can turn the compressor. I'm good. I got about a finger's worth in here. It took all of that. And we're gonna throw an ounce in the line when we disconnect the line up top so that we have enough in it. Now we could throw, you got a couple ways of doing it. If you're not separating anything on top, you can throw an ounce. You can try and throw it in the compressor. A lot of compressors don't take the 5 ounces. This one did, so which is good. But we have to separate the top because we're changing the expansion block up top on the Firewall, which came in the kit, which is this right here. So when we get this off, we're gonna have the line off. We're just gonna pour another ounce down into the line. Now this is a big system. He's got rear AC in this thing and everything. So, you know, 1 extra ounce on this system is probably not gonna be a big deal. If it was a small Honda Accord, you know, an extra ounce or two can hamper your AC cooling capacity. The Freon is what drags the oil around the system to keep it lubricated. So it's very important that you do this. You see a lot of people going to the parts stores and buying, you know, the quick shot charge. Well, there's no oil. So you just, if you had a leak, you've lost oil and you're just squirting Freon in there and it's not dragging oil around, and normally your compressor will be on its way out shortly after that. So, all right, so we got enough into this one right now. And they gave us these 2 packing plugs here that came with this thing. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these back in until we get this compressor sitting in the vehicle, because I can grab these from the top, and I've got the two new nuts right here. So when I go to lump this thing up in the compressor, I don't want any oil dripping on me or anything. So I'm just gonna sit these on finger tight, and once I get the compressor bolted in place, I can just take these off, and I'm not gonna be spilling any oil out on me while I'm trying to, you know, rotate this thing up in position. So, all right, so the compressor is all set and ready to go. Now what we gotta look at is we have our package of O-rings and seals that they gave us, okay? We're not going to use every single O-ring and seal they gave us in this thing. We're gonna use what we need for our AC lines over here and stuff. Some of these lines have these plus O-rings on them. So we're gonna go over to the truck, we're gonna take them off one at a time, bring them over, match them up, put them back on, and then move on to the next one so there's no confusion that we forgot any O-rings. And then when we do the expansion block up here, we'll, like I said, we'll re-O-ring everything over there as well. We got one more little O-ring in here.
Like all this stuff was included with this kit.
Yeah, which is nice. So, all right, so let's go see what we got for lines up here. All right, so we've got an O-ring here, plus this seal. So we'll get up here and we'll pick this O-ring off. See if we can get up here and get one of these off.
There we go.
Okay, and then this is a seal right here. What do we want to? Might have to get a razor in here. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Okay.
There you go.
Now this is the low side line, so we're just going to do one at a time. And the O-ring for this side is going to be larger than for the high side. So let's get this one done first. We'll match these up and put these on. So you can put a little oil on these. I do a little dielectric grease on them, to preference. You don't want to put them on dry, you know. Just get your seal a little moist on each side, yeah, you know. Slide that on there. Okay, line that up. And it's going to be the same with the O-ring. We matched up our O-ring, and I'm going to slide the O-ring on, and we're going to put a little lube on that. You don't want any of this stuff going together dry. All right, so this is the low side. How do we know it's the low side? Tony just asked.
You remember
it's the fat side.
Steve said he remembers in his second.
Yeah. So the low side is always the large fitting, okay? And the high side is the thinner line. And when you hold this, if you ever had a system running and you touch the high side, this line's going to be hot. The cold side, which is the fat side, is going to be cool. So, all right. It's a family show, Tony. All right. Okay.
I'll never forget it.
Let me get my picture.
I'm not even an AC guy.
Get an O-ring, let's pop that on. And we're gonna put a little grease on that.
Some kind of grease using?
Dielectric.
Okay.
Okay. You can use refrigerant oil too, you know, but this works out. Okay, so we'll set these two up. Out of the way. We've got our compressor ready to go on, full of oil. We've got all our bolts never seized up over here, so we're going to take the compressor, and we learned a valuable lesson last week doing the fuel pump to make sure the goddamn fitting is the same for the electrical connector, okay? So, yeah, that appears to be the same. These little notches, so it's going to fit into the holes on the block. And so we'll go over and stuff this thing in place right now.
Alright, so we're gonna have to transfer these studs so it's a new compressor.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we just bolted it up and we have to just slip it down real quick to take it off. And it's probably going to be easier to do it that way than try and take the stud out, you know, while it's on there. So, because the clips have things that slide over and lock on, and the new studs are a lot shorter and they won't clip on. And I don't want the harness floating around up in there. So we're gonna take these off, wire wheel them, and stick them on the new compressor. So we transferred the studs over because our electrical cables won't clip on to these short studs that we took out. So we clipped them on, and right now we're just gonna throw our caps back in and get this thing back up in place. All right, so we just put the low side line back in place. All our O-rings are on. I'm gonna catch my 13mm nut down. And like I said, okay, there's the line bottomed out. We changed the studs over so we can get these clips right here to stick on the stud. All right, so I'm gonna tighten this first one down since the line's out of the way, and then we'll get the other one in there. Let's get the high side line in here. And these are all greased up and clean. And we can
It's the high side line?
yeah, the high side line's going in now.
Okay. So tighten that one up.
Yeah. All right, so that one's tight. Now, this is the line here for the, should be the crankshaft sensor, which is basically right here. And this line went on the top one here, like such. And it went around the crankshaft and underneath like this. So we'll stick this one up. Yeah, right there's good light tone. All right, so we get that one back on the stud. And this one rolls down, and we're gonna plug it into the crankshaft sensor here.
Okay. Are you down the bottom there, buddy?
Yeah. All right.
So what connector was that?
This is for the crankshaft.
The crankshaft sensor? Alright.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you said.
I'm trying to plug it in, man. Oh boy. There it is.
I heard it.
Okay. All right, that one's on. And see how it loops around the compressor here?
Yep.
You weren't gonna get that on. All right. And now we have the one for the AC compressor, which is, we tuck back here. This thing we tuck back here. This one's gonna come up over the top. And we've got the stud right here.
And the different plug-ins, so there's not really a way to mix them up. It's impossible.
Let's get the AC compressor plugged in. Click, but it's plugged in.
All right, so we just got the AC compressor plugged in.
And I'm trying to unplug it, and it's plugged in.
Okay.
Okay, so making sure nothing is hitting anything over here. All the wiring is clear. Yeah. Okay. Okay, all right, I'm comfortable with that. And we'll get the serpentine belt on it.
Okay, so we've got the serpentine belt on, and this is the routing of it. We kind of route it around, and you want to catch the alternator up top last. That's kind of the easiest way to put it back in. So now we're getting ready to replace the expansion block on the firewall.
And this came with the kit, so we're just taking this off. I'm gonna get our fingers in there to grab that nut. So we're gonna take this 5/16 clamp out, try and give us some give to move that AC line to the side so we can get the expansion block out. Let me get that up. And we're probably gonna have to do something to maybe tie wrap this thing up out of the way, because we got to get that block out. And there's a couple of Torx bits in there, if you can see them, by the studs. And that's how the block's going to come out. Yep. So, but of course this line is like right in our goddamn face. So it's got some flex with a flex hose here. So we just got to find a way to get this pulled up and hold it up. Yeah, maybe just like that. All right, so let's get that expansion block out of there. T25 on here. Let's crack that one loose. And crack this one loose. Okay. All right, let's try and wiggle this out now.
Okay, so just got to kind of tug on it.
Now there's two O-rings in here that Tony's gonna go in and change, because I'm gonna be taking a break here. And there's two O-rings in here that we're gonna change out and put new ones on. And then we're gonna bolt the expansion block back onto it.
Okay, so I got the bottom one replaced, and I'm going to go after the top O-ring in there. And it's not just a piece of rubber, there's metal around it. So I'm using this pick tool right here to get in there and pull them out. So this is the O-ring that came off, and I've matched it up to this one in the kit. So I'm gonna lube it up a little bit and press it back on to the nipple sticking out. There are O-ring seals on both sides of that block. I'm gonna replace them. If you look in the mirror, you can see there's one on the bottom nipple, one on the top. Same kind I just took off of the other side, so I'm gonna get these transferred out and replace them. Okay, so I got the new O-rings on there, and that mirror and this pick tool made it pretty easy to get them off. They slid off pretty easy using the pick tool. I'd get it under there, kind of lift up on the pick tool. Those O-rings will slide right off for you.
There it is.
What's that thing called?
An expansion block.
So putting the expansion block back on, right, Steve?
Yeah, this takes the place of like an orifice filter on your older vehicles. So let's get these two bolts in there, the Torx bits. Tony changed all the O-rings. They're O-ring seals with like washers. He did all of that. Here we have our Torx bit.
All right, so we're just tightening up these two Torx bits.
Yeah, I'm going even sides here and get these. And these weren't cranked down too much. Just make sure that they're tight. You'll feel them bottom out. Okay, that was tight. That was tight. Now we're gonna pull this stud back, harness back down here. So this, we're drawing it right in, and this thing was not cranked too hard. We're just snugging this thing up, and we're gonna look at the mirror and make sure everything's seated right. Yeah, that's all seated good.
Good.
That's all seated good. So we got two more. There it goes. So we got two more seals we're gonna change here because we got them, and I can dump a little more oil down one of these lines. So we get that one there, this one here, and I can dump some oil right down this line here, another ounce. And that'll be the 5 in the compressor plus one extra one, and we'll get to change these O-rings. Okay.
Yeah, just putting new gaskets on.
New O-ring. We got lubrication on here. Okay, now we're gonna do the other one. Doing these one at a time.
So this kit I got came with a lot of gaskets and O-rings, so we're able to re-O-ring quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to do.
No, once you get O-ring in, it goes pretty quick, so. And like I said, I usually do one fitting at a time, so you match them up and you don't make a mistake. Okay, so we're gonna pour another ounce of oil down this line here. Okay, so we had an 8-ounce jug here, and we probably have about this much left on the bottom. So I'm comfortable with that. And we have an expanded system here because you have the rear system. So we got good 6 ounces in here, maybe a little bit better, and that's fine. So now we're gonna just connect these two fittings back up. And the next phase is vacuum it down.
And we're just gonna tighten up these two.
Tighten up our two fittings here, get these snug. And this is the low side that you put the oil in. You never put the oil in the high side, just the low side. The low side is the fat line. When I tighten these up, I like to have a pair of pliers on here. Everything is awkward today.
Okay, just gonna finish tightening this up. Okay.
All right, so we just put our 5/16 bolt back in there, tighten this down. Got our seals changed here, our seals changed here. We've gotten our new expansion block changed. O-rings on both sides of it have been done. We added another ounce of oil into our low side here. And I mean, we've changed just about all the seals that we could change that are accessible for us. So we should be good with that. And we're gonna vacuum the system down now.
And we just finished tightening the battery post back up.
Just putting our ductwork back in place.
Yep. Straight
This off. Well, they have a square spot on the clamp, right?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
it
So,
right
yeah.
there.
There's a notch. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, looks like someone had it on backwards too.
Wasn't me. There's never near the clamp.
Yeah.
I never took it off. So I also must have dropped it at one point.
He had it off last weekend, guys. Okay, now it has a little notch right there that it's gonna fit right in there when we go to tighten it up. See that?
Imagine
Okay.
that, huh?
All right, so tighten these two up, and this one will make sure it's the same. I think the notch is back here. Yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
Okay, all right, we'll snug those up.
So this contraption Steve has is a vacuum.
Yeah.
So we're gonna vacuum down the AC system. This is what it looks like.
All right, so we got a low side line here. Gonna lock this in place. Clip that on. We've got our high side line right here.
So what we're doing is we're hooking this up to vacuum the system to get all the air out of the system, right, Steve?
Correct. And we'll know if we have a nice tight system by doing this. So let's get the yellow line here connected to the vacuum pump. Now if you look at the gauges here, okay? So if you have a tight system, you'll see the vacuum start to drop right away. So see how it's already at 10 and it's going down to 20? It's gonna get really close to 30. So we're gonna vacuum this down for 10 minutes, okay? And then we're gonna close the valves after 10 minutes and then we're gonna let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. And if the gauges don't move at all, then we know we're under vacuum, we don't have any leaks. If this thing creeps up, then we've got a leak somewhere. So we didn't have any leaks before the compressor exploded, so you know that was the cause of our Freon leak. Now we've re-O-ringed everything that we've touched with new seals and O-rings, and we shouldn't have any leaks. The compressor is tight, and that's got new gaskets on it. So we're gonna let this vacuum down for a good 10 minutes while we're filling the coolant system. And then when we're done, like I said, we're gonna close the valves and then we're gonna wait 10 minutes to make sure that this thing doesn't move. And if it doesn't get all the way down to the 30, that's okay. It's gonna be really close to the 30. That's probably where it's gonna stop with this gauge. Everybody's gauge could be just off a whisker. So we'll let this go for 10 minutes. We'll put the stopwatch on it and then we'll come back to you. So showing our vacuum, it hasn't moved, so we got a tight system, no leaks. So we're gonna charge it now. It takes 2 1/4 pounds to charge this system. Turn our scale on. Okay, so we just got our Freon going in the vacuum. We're watching the scale. It's gonna, 2 1/4 pounds. It's gonna get to a point on the scale where it's gonna stop sucking Freon in, but by that point we'll have enough in the system so that when Tony turns the AC on max, the compressor will start drawing the rest of the Freon into the system. So we've got 12 ounces in there right now, and we need to get to 2 1/4 pounds. So we're gonna watch this until it stops drawing Freon in. It's just about at 1 pound right now. So it's slowing down, but it's still taking it. We're gonna let it suck it in enough. So, you know, vacuuming it and putting it under a tight system is what's helping draw the Freon into the system right now. So we're slowing down at 1 1/4 pounds pretty much, 1.2.8. So it's just under 1 1/4 pounds. So, I'm gonna have you fire it up and put it on max AC.
So I'm inside right now, putting this on max AC, front and rear. Steve's out there, topping it off.
Right, so we put 2.4 pounds in it, the compressor's running, the AC system's nice and cold inside. Now my gauges are a little off. Normally you want to be 2.5 times your ambient temperature. You should be right now, if it's a little cooler right now, it's say 60 degrees, so it'll be 120 plus 30, it'd be about 150 degrees. And then this side's usually up close to 40. But what's throwing your gauges off right now is you have oil in the system that we're trying to push around to spread, and that's throwing our gauges off right now. So using the scale, see we have 2.4 pounds in there right now that shows on the scale.
Yep.
This is showing 2.4 pounds. So we know we put the right amount of Freon in it. The problem you have if you're trying to charge the system without a scale is you're looking at, normally you're at 2.5 times your ambient temperature. So you'd be running this thing and saying, hey, wait a minute, I should be close to 150 pounds on a day like this today, and then my low side should be higher. Well, now you're gonna overcharge the system. So it's very important to use a scale when you're adding Freon. You wanna look at what your sticker said, and the sticker said 2.4 pounds. It said 2 1/4 pounds, for Freon, for the amount. And that's what we put in, 2.4 ounces. 4 ounces is 1/4 pound. So we know we have the right weight of oil in there, even though our gauge is a little low. So I know it's gonna be cold, it's gonna be good. If you wanna hook the gauges back on in a week or so after you've ran this thing, you know, your pressure should be a little higher. But that's the way to do it, you wanna weigh it. So we added our oil, put all our seals in, we got the Freon charged, and it's nice and cold inside. So this wraps it up.